Hello and thank you for tuning in. You're watching The Property Guide. This show aims to give you all of the information you need to be able to buy property in India and make smart investments in real estate. Remember, you can send in any question you have about buying property to The Property Guide at et-now.com. On the show this week, we review Worli in Mumbai. We'll tell you why it's become a preferred zone for luxury properties. We'll also give you a checklist of what to keep in mind when investing in second sale homes. And we'll answer your questions about buying property in Bangalore and Noida. All right, let's get straight to it. Joining us today on the show, Jayashree Kurup, Head of Content and Research at magicbricks.com, Gulam Zia, Executive Director at Knight Frank India, in our Noida studio, Karthik Verma, co-founder of PropTiger.com. All of you, thank you so much for coming in to the studio. Jayashree, it's lovely to have you in Bombay. It's much warmer here than it is in Delhi. I want to start off by talking about Worli. It's received so much attention. And I want to, like we were talking about before we started, we're going to use Worli slightly loosely here and include Lower Parel and Mahalakshmi and the Parel area as well. Let's take first a look at the price movements in the locality, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about investment options with our guests. Until a few decades ago, Worli in central Mumbai was a traditional textile mill location. As the mills shut down and land parcels became available, several high-profile developers began to move in. In 2005, DLF bought the 17-acre Mumbai textile mills plot for 700 crore rupees. In 2010, Indiabulls bagged the 10-acre Bharat and Podar mills in Worli for close to 2,000 crore rupees. Today, Worli is home to skyscrapers and ultra-luxury projects. The commissioning of the Bandra-Worli Sea Link has improved connectivity between Worli and BKC, giving a fillip to the location's growth. But the recent sluggishness in Mumbai's real estate market has impacted prices in Worli as well. According to PropTiger.com, prices of homes in Worli, which were priced at 37,500 rupees in 2011, have decreased by 3% over 2 years and are currently trading at an average of 35,500 rupees a square foot. Neighbouring Lower Parel and Parel, the city's new business hubs, have witnessed flat movement in prices as well, with an increase of a mere 1 or 2% over the last 2 years. According to PropTiger.com, homes in Lower Parel were priced at 27,800 rupees, while Parel is currently trading at 26,200 rupees a square foot. On the other hand, Worli's other neighbour, Mahalakshmi, which enjoys a view of Haji Ali and the racecourse, has witnessed a 5% appreciation in prices over the past 2 years. Homes here are priced at an average of 33,300 rupees a square foot. All right, so that was Worli, the central Mumbai region basically. Gulam, I'm going to come to you first. For those of us who spend a lot of time in this central Mumbai region, the skyline changes drastically every few months. There are a lot of skyscrapers that are coming up here. Things are changing very drastically. Is this the place to be for someone who has the money, who wants to make an investment?
Well, the answer is a huge and resounding yes. It is yes because not only the new high-rises that you're talking about, but also because of a completely new infrastructure which is falling into place. Whether you talk about the Eastern freeway that has just about become operational, or you talk about monorails, or you talk about soon to be, I don't know how soon, but soon to be completed waterways that we're talking about, the Bandra-Worli Sea Link which is ready. Now the connectivity, which is east-west connectivity, which is connecting Worli to Siuri Vadala, which is perhaps another 2-3 years from completion, etc. So these are all greenfield infrastructure projects which are going to make your life much more easier. So on one side, where you're talking about the real, ultra-modern high-rises, on the other side, you're also currently the problem. Anybody talking about Lower Parel or Worli says that I can't go there because traveling is a nightmare. But then coming 3-4 years will change that completely. So you will have a fantastic ultra-modern amenity, a ultra-modern facility to live in, and a fantastic connectivity to go to your place of work. So Worli it is.
So Worli it is. Well, Jayashree, I'm going to bring you in here. The interesting thing about Worli is that if you look at the prices, they range between 27,000 to 50,000 because there's such a wide range of what's available in this market. And there are also now peripheral locations like Sivri has become very interesting because, and it's still far cheaper than a Worli area. Tell us how, when you watch the prices move, and if someone's watching right now who cannot afford a Worli, does it make sense then to consider a Baikala, a Sivri or one of these places?
Across the country, Faye, what's happening is there is that one locality which is the aspirational locality. Prices are high, there are premium properties there, and that is where the demand actually is. But if you can't afford that area, the periphery of that, locality in focus becomes a much wanted place, and there is no harm in buying there because, like Ghulam said, there are so many transport corridors that are opening up, and if you look at how real estate growth is happening in India, it is along India's transport corridors. So Baikula, Sivri, these are all places which by proximity to Worli, which has zoomed into a destination, these are important, and I think there's no harm in buying there.
And is there another neighborhood in Mumbai that will give us better property prices appreciation than?
Well, for this we have to locate a property which would not have been growing along the remaining neighborhoods. So when I look at it, there are one or two of these locations which come to mind immediately. One obviously is, we're talking about the Sivri-Wadala belt. The other is Chembur. Both these locations are in close proximity. Sivri-Wadala is close to Worli Prabhadevi. Chembur is close to BKC, and these are the essential CBD hubs of the city. And these are locations where price rise has not been much in recent past. So given away, if I have to make a choice, I would actually select between these two locations rather than looking at Worli, Prabhadevi, etc.
Karthik, very quickly coming to you, we're obviously talking about investments at this point. Do you also agree that it makes sense to skip a Worli and look at a Chembur and a Wadala instead?
Well, the best way of trying to ensure that you get a good return on your investment is making sure the price is cheap enough. And so if some of these neighborhoods like Baikula and Sivri and so on are much cheaper in price and still in close proximity to good infrastructure, then it perhaps makes better sense to invest in those purely from an investment perspective. If on the other hand, you're looking at it as a residential option for yourself, then I think it's, if you can afford it, then Worli certainly seems to have a leg up right now in compared to other neighborhoods on the kind of quality of infrastructure that's coming up right now. But you know, if you watch the investment price that you're getting into a certain investment, it'll certainly pay dividends later on.
All right, so it's never a bad time if you're actually looking for a home to live in, especially those people from South Mumbai where you don't have too much supply. So if you're looking to live in Worli and you want to buy a home, here's a list of options that are available that our experts think make sense for you. If you're looking to buy a home in Worli, here are a few investment options for you. Blue by India Bulls priced at 60,000 rupees a square foot. Omkar 1973 priced at 38,000 rupees a square foot. The Park by Lodha Group 24,471 rupees. And finally, Petal by the Runbal Group priced at 31,000 rupees a square foot. All right, let's quickly take in some questions. Sunil has written in. He tells us his relatives wish to invest in an apartment in Mira Road in Mumbai with a budget of 30 to 35 lakh rupees. He's narrowed down his choice to an apartment by JC Homes. He wants to know if that's a good investment and what kind of returns he can expect. He also wants to pick an apartment perhaps in Thane, Panvel or Taloja. Let's take the first question. Mira Road, 35 lakh rupees. Does that make sense? Should he consider the JC Properties option?
Mira Road in that price is difficult to fit in because the prices are actually in Mira Road crossing 6,000 to 7,000 rupees mark. Most of the known developers are in that range. Now the specific project he's talking about looks like the project, if he gets it in that price that he's talking about, I very much doubt because the prices are not as much or what he's indicating. So first of all, if it is Mira Road, the price, the budget has to go up. Now in this budget, obviously Taloja makes sense because that's one new location which is coming up. So 4,000 to 5,000 rupees. The farther areas of New Mumbai, right from Taloja to the new developments that are coming up beyond Taloja are perhaps locations to look at. Now in Thana as well, or in that central corridor as well, it has to be farther off. You know, it has to be either Dombivli because even Dombivli is touching 5,000 rupees marks or going beyond that. So either Dombivli, or there are new destinations like Vasins, etc., which are the new locations coming up, Asangaon, Vasin, Ambarnath, lot many of these areas where it is still under 5,000 rupees kind of price.
So I want to ask you a quick question again. If he invests 25 lakh rupees in Taloja and buys an apartment, what sort of a return can he expect, say 5 years down the line?
Not much, in my opinion, remaining in Dombivli to exploit. But if you're talking about Taloja or the locations beyond Kalyan, Bhiwandi, etc., these are still locations which are up and coming. And in next 5 years, I would look at least a 10 to 15% year-on-year growth, which will give you, doubling of the price. So I'm talking about Taloja, it has to go up to 7,000-8,000. Also, because the new airport is going to be in the vicinity.
All right, it's time for a very short break on the show, but when we come back, we will talk about buying second sale homes, and we'll tell you what you should keep in mind and what paperwork you should be doing when buying a second sale home. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You're watching the Property Guide in ET now. All of our guests are still with us, helping us make smart decisions when it comes to buying property. Now, when we go out to buy a home, especially one to live in, you really have two choices. One of which is to buy directly from the builder that's under construction, and the second is to buy a second sale home. Now, a lot of times you can also buy a second sale home that's also still under construction because it's been picked up by an investor. What we're going to do today is we're going to try and figure out what you should keep in mind when you're not buying directly from the builder. Now, the interesting thing about the way the market is right now, the difference between under construction and ready to occupy is probably the widest it's been in a very long time. What does that mean for those of us who are looking to buy homes to live in as end users? Should we be focusing on under construction, or do you think buying a ready-to-occupy home makes far more sense at this point?
The best deals come when it's about 6 months to a year to completion. You know the structure's up, the finishing is on, and you know the project is more or less in the completion phase, and that is the time when you get good deals. And I see end users picking up at that stage.
Isn't that the most expensive part of the time when it's
just short of most expensive? Once possession is given, that is when it is most expensive, and therefore the end users prefer to wait till the project is almost at construction possession stage and then enter, because in the last few years a lot of developers have not delivered. The end user cannot wait. He's also paying a rental outflow. There's a rental outflow he has to take care of, as well as the EMI. So I see a lot of end users buying about 6 months to possession.
So that's the best time.
That's
6 months to possession is the best time to buy. Ghulam, tell me this. When in any of the bigger markets that we talk about, location normally trumps the actual structure or the quality of construction. So if I'm buying a slightly older home or an older apartment, a lot of times I'm paying for the location that I'm in. How important is it to consider the strength of the structure, the age of the building, and whether or not it's going to hold up over time, or if it's held up over time at all?
Well, if you're talking about the strength of the building, let me tell you, as an engineer, I know that these buildings are made of good factor of safety. The FOS that we talk about is, in early days it used to be 3. So when it was needed to bear say 100 kgs, it would end up bearing 300. That was a factor of safety which we used to do earlier. So all these buildings that we have, which we are seeing, would essentially be good if it is the age is in the range of 30-35 years. It is good enough. If you're going for older buildings, while the health of the structure is something which can be a cause of concern, but on the other side, the commercial aspect of that building is very interesting, because these buildings can be can go for a redevelopment. And with the new FSI regimes, etc., you would have a complete, jackpot that you could hit. The big upside can be the redevelopment potential if you're going for such buildings.
Well, Karthik, the interesting thing about buying a second sale home is that you have to do all the paperwork on your own because you're not buying from the builder. Tell us what we should keep in mind when we're buying second sale homes.
First of all, get a lawyer, and get a lawyer who understands how records are kept at the sub-registrar's office to ensure that you've got clean and legal title to the property. The title should be unencumbered, and the property should not be in dispute. It shouldn't be the subject matter of some kind of family feud among siblings who are fighting over some ancestral property. And hopefully a lawyer who's well versed in property law will be able to help that for you to ensure that the title you're getting is clean. Secondly, just to talk about the issue that Ghulam was talking about a moment ago about the structural robustness of the structure, I think you might also be able to get a structural engineer or a surveyor to visit the property with you and give their report on the strength of the structure and whether this is a property that's worth buying as well as taking a loan on. Thirdly, if you're actually taking a loan on the property, there's a lot of financial due diligence that the housing finance company is going to do, including sending their nominated structural engineer or surveyor to go and see whether the property actually exists, what the size, dimensions, etc. of the property are, and whether that property represents sufficient collateral and margin of safety for the lender to actually finance that property. If you aren't able to conduct a lot of this due diligence on your own and you are taking a loan, then to some extent the diligence that the housing finance company is going to conduct will be a good proxy for whether the property is title is clean, whether the structure is fine and robust, and so on. If you're buying a property in a multifamily housing unit, then you also want to understand what is your pro rata share of shared amenities and services in that structure. For instance, if there's a unit that has just 6 apartments and you're buying one of them, what is your contribution towards the annual maintenance contract of the generator set or the elevator? Who has the responsibility to renew all these contracts and so forth? All these things can affect the quality of life that you enjoy at that particular property, so that's worth checking.
All right, that's a fairly long checklist. I'm going to run it on your screen one more time if you want to write that down. That was from Karthik. Now, if you have any questions about anything you've heard so far, feel free to write to us. Our email ID is at the bottom of your screen and we'll answer your questions on the show. It's time for a very short break, but when we come back, we'll answer your questions about buying property in Bangalore and in Noida. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You're watching The Property Guide in ET. Now our guests are all still here helping us make smart decisions when it comes to buying property. I have a few more questions I'd like to take on this show. Polapalli Manikanta has written in from Bangalore. He wants to buy property on the Yelahanka-Dodbalapur Road. He has a budget of 30 lakh rupees. He wants us to help him with some options. Karthik, 30 lakh rupees in Bangalore, is he going to be able to get anything on that road or will he have to go all the way to Dodbalapur?
There's not too much of choice that he'll have. There's a product called Provident Wellworth that's available, and the current price for that is about just shy of 2,700 rupees per square foot. So that's probably the only one that comes to mind for this caller.
All right, the Provident property is from Purvankara, if I'm not mistaken. So that's the Purvankara Affordable Housing Project. Is there anything you can give him? If he's looking for something on that road, is he going to have to go completely into the periphery?
He would have to go a little further away, but I did a quick search on the site and I find about 850 to 1100 square feet. He should be able to get something. And if he looks for plots, it's about 1100 to 1500 square feet. Plots he should be able to get, and there is stock, which means that
so
it
if
is
he's
being
making
traded.
an investment, it makes more sense then for him to look at a plot of land instead of looking at an apartment. All right, so look at a plot of land then on that same road. We have another question from Rajiv Arora. He wants to invest in a ready-to-move-in 2-bedroom apartment in Noida. He has a budget of 50 to 60 lakh rupees. Please give us some options. Noida?
Small budget, given the fact that Noida prices are going up and have gone up significantly, in this he would be able to get in maybe 82, 93A, a couple of sectors, and about a 800 to 1,000 square feet apartment, he should be able to get 2 BHK and limited options.
Karthik, if he's looking at Noida, does it make sense to look at Greater Noida at that point then, if he's just looking as an investment?
Yeah, potentially. You know, I'd add to what Jayashree said. There's just not that much of 2 BHK inventory in Noida available right now. Sectors 119, 120, 121 and 22 are potentially areas where there could be option, you know, El Deco, Amantran, Pratik, Laurel. There's a Zodiac property over there, Amrapali Zodiac property over there as well that potentially could be of interest to Rajiv. Or then there's Greater Noida. You know, these current projects that I shared, property prices are slightly above 5,000 rupees per square foot. You might be able to get something cheaper than that in Greater Noida, but if this is the neighborhood that he wants to live in, then here are some options that we've just shared with him already.
Gulam, we were talking about this a little earlier. He's written down in his email that he's looking to make an investment. Should he then be insisting on a ready to move in, or should he be open to maybe picking it up, like Jayashree said, 6 months to possession, or maybe slightly before that? Does it make more sense that way?
Well, so far as this location of choice, Noida, is concerned, we don't see a sudden upsurge in prices in times to come. So what then remains is the ability to take the risk while the property is under development. So the upside will only come for under development properties. The constructed properties haven't really been going up as far as price trends are concerned. In Noida, Greater Noida, this entire belt, it's pretty much, even Ghaziabad, Faridabad hasn't really been shooting up as such. So in my opinion, the chance that you could take is to look out for an under construction property. The Yamuna Expressway, which was thrown open recently, the metro, etc., extension of metro from Noida to Greater Noida and further, etc. These are a few points which can actually give you an upside, which is completely driven by improvement in infrastructure. So that's another way of looking at it. Two possibilities of upside coming in. One is taking a risk on under construction property. Two, linking it with the improvement in infrastructure in the vicinity. So wherever there is a project which will be affected by one or two, you can expect good upside there. Otherwise, this market shall remain linked to inflation again, and the uprise or the going up will be very minimal.
Faye, there are going to be 100,000 units coming into the market in the next 2 years. The chances of making a killing on this market is very remote. Today, people who've already entered the market at lower prices can make some money, but entering the market today to make money does not seem to be the right decision.
So if he's looking at making an investment then in the NCR region, you want to point him in the different direction?
He should look at, since he's looking at under construction and he's got a smaller budget, he should be looking at places like Rajnagar Extension, he should be looking at Ghaziabad areas, places where property is still very reasonably priced, it is ready to move in, and there is a rental income that he can use while he's waiting for his project to be.
All right, so those options are on your screen right now. We hope that helps. Unfortunately, we've run out of time on this show. Our email ID, of course, is at the bottom of your screen, but you can write to us and send in any question you have about buying property. Karthik, Gulam and Jayashree, thank you so much for spending time with us this week. It's been a pleasure. You can catch a copy of this show on our Facebook page. You can reach me personally on Twitter. Thanks for watching.